Go.
I just heated that up and I barely did a dent. Alright. The life of a blacksmith in the 1800s is probably one of the hardest. Without a blacksmith, during the pioneer days, you had basically nothing. Without a blacksmith, it was the most important job back then. Without a blacksmith, you had no nails to make your cabin, no tools to do your farm, no chains to hook up your horse, and hooks for your wagons. Without blacksmiths, you couldn't even get to the Americas. Without blacksmith, you had no anchors, the nails to build the ships themselves. Blacksmith's tools consist of the hammer, the anvil, where they strike their metal. This is the London style anvil and is the most common. It's the cross-ping hammer. This is what I love the most. To grab your metal, you have your tongs. So you don't burn yourself when pulling out the metal. But this raw stock, is long enough so don't burn my hands pulling it out of the fire. We have all your tools to shape the metal, but we have yours here to heat it up. Now, all this equipment is about the same equipment that the blacksmiths used in the 1800s. This one's a little bit more modern, but over here, it's a little more basic of what they used to have. They had more of a crank, and sadly this one's for display only because sadly it is broken, but you would crank this up, and it's about the same thing as that little turning for this forge. About the basic same design, just a little more authentic. Other items that they use instead of a crank is a bellow. This one is a relatively small one, but instead of turning and cranking, you would pull it up and down, and this would bring air in from the bottom here and blow it out from the nozzle. Now, most blacksmith shops have massive ones as big as me that have a little handle and they blow a lot more air. Different styles of tongs or for different styles of metal. These tongs are easier to grab thinner stalks like these, while tongs like this one are designed to hold larger square stalks like this railroad spike. Different styles of hammers consist of the cross ping that I mentioned earlier, as well as the ball ping. The ball ping is designed for making spoons, bowls, and items such like that. This hammer can be used on other stock, like I was doing, like drawing out a square stock, or as well as making larger, rounder items, like bowls, like I mentioned earlier. The items consist here are not of things I have made, but of items that can be made into, that I can make into things, like this rasp and file. These are what are called high carbon steel. High carbon steel are used for making knives, like this one that I've made. High carbon steels are easier ones that are grinded down and sharpened to hold an edge longer once heat treated properly. Low carbon steel consists of horseshoes, railroad spikes, and square stock like that. Other high carbon steel are spring steel for traps that pioneers would use for beavers. One of the items I make out of railroad spikes are these stake turners. I would draw out the metal here, and then once I get it to the length that I see fit, which is about here, I would then put that hook into it. That's where you would hook up your meat and flip it over on a grill. Items I've made out of horseshoes consist of these hoof picks. Once a horse foot gets filthy, use these hoof picks to clean them out. Beginner blacksmiths they don't make like guns or knives or anything. Once you're a beginner blacksmith, I tried to make a knife and I failed miserably. Obviously. Now, beginner blacksmiths start off on items that like I made today on S-hooks as well as nails like this here. These beginner blacksmiths would make these, and after they once they make a certain amount of these, they would then move on into making their own hammers, their own tongs. Once they made their own tools, then they would go into a specialty, like in this photograph here, where this company specialized in horseshoeing and ferrying and putting horseshoes on the actual horses and making the equipment to hook up horses to plows and so on and so forth. Without a blacksmith, life would not be the same. It would return back into the Stone Age, and actually without blacksmiths, we would not even have our own freedom. Blacksmiths were so important during the Revolutionary War that without them we would not have knives for surgeries and to save the soldiers' lives. We would not have wheels and items for cannons. We would not have cannons themselves. They were also important on explorers like Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark traveled with 3 blacksmiths making tomahawks, nails, tools, really anything to trade with the Native Americans so they could have buffalo robes. Blacksmiths also were very important like forts like these, Fort Vasquez, to do about the same. Now Fort Vasquez traded with the Cheyenne and Arapaho for buffalo robes to then ship back to Virginia, Massachusetts, the states more to the west, or is that the east? That's the east, isn't it? To the east, where they would be sold for high prices. That's where also trappers come in. Blacksmith's life was a very hard life. Every day they woke up at sunrise and worked till sunset on creating items so life could continue as normal. Thank you.